Halloween Kills is the brand new horror slasher centering around Michael Myers and is the sequel to the 2018 film Halloween. And that film is a sequel to the 1978 John Carpenter directed Halloween. Yeah, there's two. Yeah, but it's a sequel, but it's called the same thing. But the third one's called Halloween Kills. Yeah. But, there's like a whole vast Halloween franchise that's just being ignored right now. Look, if you're just as confused as I am and you want to jump out of a window, don't worry, Michael Myers will show you the way. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the HEZ Project. I'm John Ordalaza, and today we're continuing on our HEZ-WEEN event where we talk about horror Halloween-themed films in the month of October. And today, it's Halloween Kills. It is a brand new film with Michael Myers, also starring Jamie Lee Curtis, so let's get into it. If you guys haven't checked out my reviews of the original 1978 John Carpenter directed Halloween, go check that out. I posted that video maybe like 2 weeks ago, and then just recently posted the Halloween 2018 review. Check those videos out first because those are the true sequels to this one. They created a whole new timeline and are forgetting all of the sequels that came out after the original. It's just original 2018 Halloween Kills. Follow? Alright, let's get into this. No spoilers, guys. If you don't want to watch the movie yet, but you want to get a little taste of what it's about, come here, watch my review. Probably not going to do a spoiler review on this. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, I just want to talk about the film. This is unrelated to the film itself, but the Peacock stream I was watching on last night was kind of ass. Like, it was dropping in quality, very low quality at times, very pixely, and like, come on. You want to be able to see the best 4K stream that you can. The best upscale, I guess, because you can't really have true 4K on a stream. Now into the film. I've talked about the other two. And this is okay. This one's not that bad. It was middle of the road for me. Like, I was really hyped about that 2018 film and very down about the 1978 one. This one I'm kind of like in the middle of. I do remember them announcing years ago, I think it was before the 2018 one was released or maybe right afterwards, that they were going to be doing 3 Halloween films. Halloween, the sequel to Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. I believe that's what it was called. Now, yeah, when you have that story outline, so I'm just assuming that they have a story outline that fits the build of a trilogy. Hopefully. Hopefully if they're not sequel trilogying us with this like they did with Star Wars. But from my understanding, it looks like that they have a trilogy set. It looks like they have a plan, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel like this movie had Mockingjay Part 1 vibes. If you guys know what I'm talking about, the Hunger Games films, yeah, the Hunger Games, we're going back to that real quick. They had the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1, Mockingjay Part 2, and they've done this with other book to movie adaptations and franchises before. I haven't seen all of them, but I remember this feeling that I had watching part 1 of Mockingjay, which is the 3rd book in the trilogy, but they decided to break it into 2 movies. Mockingjay Part 1 felt like the placeholder to the actual meat of the story that we would see in Mockingjay Part 2. Now, Halloween is not a series of books, so that's not what I'm saying. I don't think so, but I'm just saying this is the vibe I got from Halloween Kills. It feels like it was half of a story cut in half of Halloween Kills and Ends so they can, make the bank. I'm gonna try not to spoil this, and I might have to do a spoiler review for you guys next week or something like that, but I just really need to air out my frustrations in detail, but I also want you to check it out if you haven't yet. Hear my thoughts without spoiling anything. So there are characters that led the film prior to this, Halloween 2018, that I just feel like were lingering in this film. They weren't doing as much, they weren't much of significance in this film, and that's disappointing. And you're saying, okay, so who's leading the charge in this one? Who's carrying the flag? New people. Characters leading the charge now in this film, Halloween Kills, aren't exactly unfamiliar with the franchise, but they just weren't there in the last film. So you're kind of left pondering the question, why are we doing this? It feels like all the main characters that we were introduced to in the previous film are just being put in placeholder plots in this film so that we could get to the 3rd film and do an epic climax, or I hope. But for the most part, I was on board and I was trying to let the movie do its thing, because what they did with these new leads that, like I said, aren't unfamiliar with the franchise, what they were doing with them was actually kind of interesting. It's just the execution was kind of sucky. It just kind of sucks because the characters that we were invested in and we wanted to see this movie for are kind of taking a back seat. And the characters that you wanted to interject into the front line, these new characters that are, like I said, aren't unfamiliar, it just didn't compute, and it didn't fill that void that you took out by having our main characters sit back and like recoup or something. This film does take place like the night or two after the events of the 2018 film. So I think that's not the best thing to do. I don't know. It just feels like this is this tight timeline going on, and I feel like if you just, like, I don't know, waited a year or a week or something, I don't know, it feels all too tight. It feels like a lot is going on. And here's another problem with the movie that I do want to address. There's a lot of flashbacks, a lot of non-linear storytelling that, okay, it's fine if you introduce a flashback or two in the beginning. It's not really non-linear to me. When I think of non-linear storytelling, I think of Deadpool, how they just constantly went back and forth before his transformation into the nutsack, you know? And in Man of Steel, when they kept coming back to Clark in his childhood, those are non-linear storytelling, I think. Non-linear stories, I should say. And generally speaking, that second timeline you revisit constantly in the film is generally the same timeline, or at least going in the same direction. Like, you go back when the dude's like 5 years old, and then the next time you go back to that, he's 10, 15, and whatnot, you know what I mean? And here it was kind of confusing. Like, I was following it, but I understand a lot of people will probably be lost. Like, I can already see myself watching this movie with my mother, and like, she'd be very confused because they go back way too many times, and it's very annoying. I understand wanting to tie the films together, tie some characters here and there, build a universe. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but I'm just saying, as an example for like Marvel stuff, when you want to build a universe, you start connecting dots. You start saying, oh, this person was actually here in this film. You just didn't know. You stupid little bitch. But dude, let me tell you, I don't want to spoil anything, but this film does that same thing I was just saying about the character being here and there. They do that with just about every new addition to this movie. And it's so annoying. It's kind of lazy, I think. Not everybody has to be ingrained in that one night in 1978 from the original film. It doesn't have to be like that. But they felt like it needed to. Way too many people connect into that original film, and like there's there are people who meet in a bar, for example. This is not really a spoiler, but town people that meet in a bar and they start sharing their stories on how they connect to him in a way, how they interacted with him at one point when they were younger. And conveniently, everybody had a story. It was just a little silly to me and a little overdone. Not everybody needs to be connected to that. Like, dude, Lori is being brought in on a stretcher in the beginning of this film into the hospital. Someone says her last name, Strode, and one of the security guards in the distance says, Lori? Like, he recognized her name and was like, Lori? And then they just zoomed in on his name tag, but they didn't show a flashback this time. Almost everybody else that they said that was connected to the past had a flashback. This random security guard didn't. And I was like, am I supposed to remember his name? Like, you just zoomed in on his name tag, on his breastplate. I'm like, oh, I don't know who you are, dude. Circling back to the original film for a second, if you guys haven't seen my review for that, I mentioned that it's underwhelming in the sense that his kills, Michael Myers' kills in there, are very tame. And I understand it's because of 1978, wasn't mainstream to be doing those type of gory kills in here. And it's not like they fully embraced that in the 2018 film. They showed a lot of implications in there. Like, you'll just see a dude with a broken jaw and like, oh, what happened like seconds ago? Like, what happened, dude? What happened? I'm just biting my nails thinking about what the hell happened. And they only just showed a glimpse of a more brutal Michael Myers in that film. He did a lot more than he did in the original. In this movie, they just do that even more. Even more, dude. There's more implication stuff. Like, what did he just do? And he does even more. Dude, some of the kills in here are actually pretty good. I'm really glad that they're going down this route, making Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise just just fun. Like come on. We're like, in terms of movie space, we can be the sicko sometimes. I like to see people get slashed in unique ways. And this movie does that. Michael Myers finds new and creative ways to take out his enemies. And just when you think, oh, he's gonna do this, he does it. He does that. All in all, I kind of wish the movie was a little more subtle like the 2018 one. This one did just kind of go balls to the walls a little bit, but not to the point where I thought it was overdone. And still, Michael Myers, I still think is pretty protected as a horror character. I still enjoy him. He's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed Michael Myers in the 1978 version, but you know, I'm not gonna insert the end of the film joke. I've done enough. I will say though, when it comes to getting to know who Michael is, I kind of want to dive a little bit more into there. You can still do that without ruining the character of Michael Myers, you know? I feel like there's a way to do it, and I hope we get just a little bit more of that in Halloween Ends, whenever that comes out in, like, I think, what, 2 years or something? Hopefully they started working on it already, because this one was supposed to come out last year or something like that. I don't remember. I think it's the middle of the road. Like, the story and what they chose to do with these new additions to the film, very questionable, I thought, but it was still a fun time. It was still a fun horror slasher, I say, in those senses, in terms of just bloody, unrelentless action. It's on par, if not just a little bit better than the 2018 film. But overall, I think the 2018 film is the best out of the three. But if you are a fan of Michael Myers, if you're a fan of Halloween-themed movies or Halloween in general, this is a pretty decent one. It's just middle of the road in terms of story, and it's for something deeper, for you wanting something a little deeper in this franchise, they go a little silly, and it's not terrible. It's just middle of the road for me. So that is my review for Halloween Kills. Let me know down below, have you gotten a chance to check out the film yet? It just released in theaters today, or it released on Peacock midnight, and I would just watch it in theaters, dude. Like, Peacock, nah, it's low quality at times, but you're gonna see a better picture overall in the theater, and then eventually on the 4K, which I believe the 4K is like right around the corner, because like I said, this movie was gonna release last year. So I'm not surprised that the physical copies are right around the corner, but leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Be sure to stick around, guys, because we have a couple movies left in our HEZ-WEEN event. I'm gonna be reviewing Ghostbusters very soon, as well as the first original Friday the 13th. That's my teaser for my Friday the 13th review. Anyways, guys, stick around the channel because there's always more to come.